when you were here, Rav, and we all appreciate it, you embraced the hype, you embraced the media, you embraced the access. Is that the best way to compete with the Aussies?
I think the only way. There's no other way you can play. You're not going to get an inch. So, if you don't want to give an inch, then you got to embrace it. You got to embrace the culture. You got to understand very early what to expect from the media as well, because they'll be behind the Australian team. But if you can get your boys to get out there and play as hard as it gets, be ready for some tough cricket and perform, the media will respect you.
Love it. Harsha Bhogle is here. Harsha, trip number what to Australia for you, and wonderful to see you here.
You had to bring that up, didn't you? I'll tell you how old I am. When I first came here, Ravi was playing.
Right. Wow.
That's how long it's been. 91?
91.
91, 99, it wasn't always a contest. So I've enjoyed coming here in the last 3 or 4 trips.
And what's it been like to come from India with all these wonderful people surrounding you in the media and seeing India win Test series in Australia?
It's something, I'll be honest, it's something I didn't expect to see when I started out. So to it's different. You come to Australia and beat Australia, there is no greater feeling in the world. I mean, you can go to other parts of the world, but to come here, and the one thing I learned about this country was if you give it back, if you play hard, they respect you. If you're just this quiet guy, Ravi Prime, dare I say, opposite of Ravi, no one looks at you. That's why I know you've got this guy next to me, because
correct.
You beat Australia, they respect you, they love you.
Harsh, in the time you've been coming here, the relationship between the two countries, Australia and India, has grown in trade, in sport, in all sorts of things. I know KO and Fox Cricket are doing a Hindi feed, so a Hindi broadcast of the Test series accessible here in Australia. How have you seen the developing relationship between the two nations?
When I first came here to the MCG, I'd look around to see Indians in the crowd. Then I came back 2015, India versus South Africa, the MCG, 60,000 Indians singing the national anthem. And it still sort of sends a little bit of a shiver down. तो मुझे कोई बहुत खुशी हो रही है कि हिंदी में कर रहे हैं इस बार. और उम्मीद करते हैं आप सब हिंदी में सुने, देखा करें और झंडा फैलाएं. But it's great. I never thought that would happen. So it's fantastic that Fox and KO are doing this in Hindi too. And it just tells you how close our countries have come. I attended a trade event recently, and everyone is bullish about India and Australia. There's trade agreements, there's free trade things happening. Our countries are coming so close that Australia might just want to say, in the spirit of it all, here's the Border Gavaskar Trophy again.
Harsh, we'll see. We'll see.
I didn't look at Nick while I was saying that.
I had the pleasure of witnessing 125,000 people in Ahmedabad singing the national anthem in the World Cup final. What a wonderful day that was, Harsha. I know you're in the commentary box in the closing stages, jumping with joy.
I remember the 18th of November, and I remember the 20th of November. Nothing happened in between.
No, I didn't see you at the end of the game. By gee, you left the commentary sharpish. Michael Vaughan, great.
That's what happens in Oz. They keep coming at you.
Great to see you here. A proud Englishman in Australia, a much-loved figure of the Fox Cricket commentary team. How have you seen this relationship develop in the Border Gavaskar Trophy and the standard and style of cricket between these two sides?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a good warm-up for the Ashes in 12 months' time. So I think we're in for a great contest. In the last 4 or 5 years, without question, these two teams have been the best two teams. Skill set, mentality. I just look two to my left. Great to have Harsha, but I want to know how India replaced that man.
Wow, yes.
So the last 2 times they've come here, they've won, and they've had a charismatic coach. They've had a captain in Virat Kohli who... I'm a big believer when you play Australia, there's only one way to play them. That's on the front foot, being aggressive, trying to ruffle a few feathers. He could do it. Virat could do it. I want to know in this Indian camp, who's the Ravi Shastri? I don't think there can be another one, but who's going to be the Virat Kohli? Can Rohit arrive and kind of captain in a similar sense? I think that's going to be the big challenge for India over the course of the next few weeks.
Ravi, I can't wait to see this young man by the name of Jaiswal. I've seen him live in the IPL, and he absolutely blew my mind. There's all this talk that he won't be able to dominate the Australians on the hard, bouncy wickets. What do you think about this young man?
I think he'll be a better player when he leaves Australian shores. Already he's world class. You saw what he did against England. Just the freedom with which he plays. He's come up the hard way. So you can see that hunger and passion, not just in his eyes, but when he's out there in the middle, fielding in the slips, he wants to be involved in the game. I think once he adapts to these conditions, it's not going to be easy, Perth, to adjust to that bounce. No matter how talented a player you are, you've got to be prepared to do the hard yards. But if he can see that phase through, I think he'll entertain in Australia. He'll love these pitches. He's someone who'll score pretty freely as well.
Shubman Gill, thumb injury, disappointing. We won't see that beautiful cover drive in the first test. Hopefully the second test. Who bats number 3?
I don't know if they push KL Rahul to open the batting. Maybe a bright young left-hander called Devdutt Padikkal. Maybe send him out at 3, and then you get Kohli and Rishabh Pant. I know you love Rishabh Pant.
I do.
Do you remember what happened? Rishabh Pant, Brisbane. I remember a voice on air.
A bit like your World Cup final memories, Harsha. It sort of drifted off a bit for me. It's one of the best test innings I've ever seen, Harsha. As an Australian fan, it was disappointing to see the Aussies get rolled, but as a neutral in commentary, it was one of the best test match finishes we've ever seen, and I think he will forever be loved in this country, especially after what he's been through. I think he'll be a fan favourite.
It's one of the great stories. I think, when I was a kid, I read a line from Keith Miller saying, look, he flew bombers during the war, right? He said, what's pressure? He said, there's no pressure in cricket. You look at Rishabh Pant, see what he's come out of. That he's around and breathing the air is a celebration. That he's playing cricket. I mean, what pressure is there when you've come out of what Rishabh Pant has come out of? And I'll tell you, even though India-New Zealand, the series went the wrong way, till Rishabh Pant was around, that series was alive. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him and Bumrah.
And I went to see him in hospital just after that injury, and you wouldn't have given a hope in hell that he would come back, leave alone playing cricket, but playing for the country again and playing with, again, that same kind of passion, hunger, and freedom. What you saw of him that day, was something really not a good sight. He was battered, he was bruised. It was a massive surgery that brought him back to be able to walk again, and then to keep and play is a miracle of sorts.
Yeah, I can't wait to see Little Man in action. Vaughanie, when Pat Cummins took over, the press was a captain cannot be a fast bowler. You cannot have the country led by a fast bowler. Come Perth, we expect Bumrah to be captain with no Rohit Sharma. Captains on both sides fast bowling. It just brings a whole nother level to the game.
Yeah, it does. Pat Cummins, he's annoying. He's just far too good at making captaincy look so easy and simple. He knows how to win. We saw that in that first one-day game against Pakistan. He went out with the bat. He just knows how to get over the line. Be interesting to see Jasprit Bumrah. I think pound for pound, he's the best bowler in the world. And I think it's going to be how he controls his bowling and the captaincy, which will decide potentially that first test match. I think Australia have got the best attack in the world. And I think in India they've got Jasprit, who's the best bowler across all the different formats. The series will be decided on many kind of facets, but I think the 2 number 4s, Steve Smith back at number 4, those 2 innings that we saw in the one-day series, he seems to have had that flow. That we kind of see in Steve's eyes when he's playing well. He just looks completely composed and calm out in the middle. He found that. And I think in Virat Kohli, when he comes here, when he lands in Australia, he lands and knows that this is a place that he's had a huge amount of success. And you could argue which of the number 4s has the biggest series could be the deciding factor of the whole series, because I think 15, 20 years ago, I think you had to arrive in Australia and think about getting 500 in the first innings. I think if you get 350 with the bowling attacks, I think you're going to be very, very competitive. But it's how you get to 350 against the likes of Jasprit Bumrah, Pat Cummins, Stark, Hazlewood, Nathan Lyon. But the team that can find a way to get to 350, 400 on a regular basis is going to win the series.
Love it. All right, predictions. Ravi, who wins and what's the score?
I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. It's the first 2 test matches. Because I think both teams, like Michael mentioned, can win that first test match, in Perth, and then the following one, the day-night game. So whoever has the upper hand after 2 test matches will dominate the series.
I don't care what the scoreline is, as long as India's winning at Sydney. 3-2, 4-1, 5-0, call it what you will. But I think Australia should believe, and it's true that they will start favourites at home. But 3-2 is fine for me for India.
Australia will win 3-1.
So which is the 5th?
It's going to be, well, it rains in Sydney. So.
This from a man from Manchester. Ladies and gentlemen, Ravi Shastri, Harsha Bhogle and Michael Vaughan.
Thank you.
Thank you.